Are game developers literally cooked? Right now, there's this massive debate raging online about the future of video games and artificial intelligence. And honestly, if you've spent any time on social media lately, you've definitely seen the bold claims and, the viral doom scrolling about the gaming industry just collapsing overnight.
You've probably seen claims exactly like this one floating around on X. Someone will post a short clip of a single-level AI-generated game. Maybe it's some vibe-coded version of a retro platformer, and boldly declare that the entire game industry is totally finished. The argument goes that pretty soon you won't even buy games anymore. You'll just pay an AI $20 to generate whatever you want right on the spot.
Well, we're going to put that exact question to the test today in this explainer. Instead of just debating theory, we're diving into a real-world experiment. A creator actually set out to build a fully playable 3D game from absolute scratch in just a single weekend using the most advanced AI tools available. We're going to see firsthand if human developers are truly on the chopping block.
Part 1. The AI Gaming Myth and the Librarian 2.
To really test if AI can replace human developers and those massive studio planning sessions, this creator decided to build an ambitious sequel to a game he'd previously made called The Librarian. He completely relied on top-tier AI models for this. And the premise here? It's a massive leap from a simple 2D game. He and his producer aimed for 3D environments, procedurally generated levels so the layout changes every run, meta upgrades, and even dynamic bosses. They bypassed all the usual AAA studio phases, no massive art teams making mood boards, no design directors, just a wildly ambitious prompt to create a game jokingly subtitled, "Look Ma, I can read good now."
Part 2. Vibe coding a sequel.
To actually vibe code this game, which basically means generating it using plain English prompts rather than manually typing out the hardcore syntax yourself, the creator used a really specific dual model strategy. It's a brilliant illustration of modern AI dev workflows. He didn't just lean on one tool. First, he leveraged Claude Office 5, which is currently dominating in generating visual game foundations. Then, he had it generate a comprehensive Markdown design document. That document basically passed the baton over to OpenAI's GPT 5.6 Inside Codex to handle all the really complex logic and fine-tuning. By splitting the brainpower like that, the creator played perfectly to each AI's unique strengths. He literally used voice notes to just ramble off a massive, messy wish list of features to Claude for about an hour and a half to get the initial build going. Later, he swapped over to OpenAI's model to try and tighten up the actual gameplay mechanics. It's such a fascinating look at how you can stack these tools on top of each other. And the sheer output is wild. After about 90 minutes of processing that initial voice prompt, Claude spat out a staggering 10,400 lines of code across 33 different modules. It even opened its own internal browser to test the game, hunt down camera bugs, and squash them on the fly before a human even looked at the screen. But honestly, even more mind-blowing than the sheer volume of code is this number right here. Exactly 0 external asset files were used. No dragging and dropping JPEGs. Every single texture, the material mapping, the character models, the sound effects, even the background music, all of it was generated entirely in raw code by the AI.
Part 3. Playtesting the chaos. Now, while the game looked visually super impressive right out of the gate, we're talking procedural windows, dynamic lighting, real-time shadows, actually playing it was a completely different story. The reality check hit pretty hard. The game runs, sure, but it is an unbalanced, hilarious mess. The foundational W and S movement controls, completely backwards. And there was this boss character named Brayden the Bully who was just impossibly fast. You'd see his little arms flailing on the minimap as he sprinted entirely outside the walls of the library, literally uncatchable.
The problem really emerges when you break down the intended mechanics versus what actually happened in-game. The AI's concept of game mechanics vastly differs from human fun. The creator asked for a devastating tornado disaster, right? Well, the AI spawned a tornado that just slightly dropped the player's health and knocked down exactly 4 books. Total dud. Meanwhile, the game's difficulty logic was so completely broken that the chaos meter skyrocketed to 95% almost instantly, meaning the building was immediately surrendered to the kids and your run was just instantly over. So what this entire experiment proves is that visual polish is surprisingly easy for modern AI. It can absolutely build you a 3D library with beautiful atmospheric light streaming through the windows. But the fun factor? That is incredibly difficult. Sure, you might get a funny momentary interaction, like picking up a mushroom that instantly makes your character massive, or slipping on a banana peel. But the overarching game totally lacks the curated pacing that actually keeps a player engaged for more than 5 minutes.
Part 4, the fine-tuning phase.
Realizing the game was basically unplayable in its chaotic state, the creator fed that entire Markdown design file into GPT 5.6 to see if swapping AI models could save the project. And to the AI's credit, it correctly identified several critical priorities right away. It suggested fixing procedural reachability so books wouldn't spawn off map, repairing the progression system, and adding a tutorial. It really proves that AI is actually fantastic at debugging its own structural flaws. But here is the ultimate takeaway from this whole development sprint. Despite another 30 minutes of advanced AI fine-tuning with the absolute best models on the planet, the game remained just a fun toy. The creator stated outright that while it was a super neat experiment, he would absolutely never put this game on a platform like Steam to sell it. It was nowhere near a polished, commercial-ready product.
Part 5. The verdict on developers.
So after successfully building an entire 3D roguelite game, complete with physics, lighting, and progression systems, from absolute scratch in a single weekend, what is the final verdict on the future of human game developers? Are they cooked? The answer is a resounding no. Echoing sentiments from major industry figures like the CEO of Take-Two, this quote hits the nail on the head. Raw code generation is not the magic ingredient in game design. The physical typing of the code was never really the bottleneck to creating a masterpiece. See, AI will undeniably speed up the development process. It's going to act as an incredibly powerful tool for creators to rapidly prototype their ideas. But game design is a series of human micro-decisions. AI cannot determine creative taste. It doesn't inherently understand pacing, emotional resonance, or the nuanced balance of making a level challenging but not totally frustrating. Plus, let's be real, most gamers don't want to do the work of figuring out what makes a game good. They just want to play a thoughtfully curated experience designed by a master. This brings us to a really beautiful realization. It's much easier to watch a great movie than to prompt one yourself, and the exact same rule applies to gaming. The difference between creating the form and playing in a form is massive. The desire for expertly crafted, professional games isn't going anywhere just because the barrier to generating raw code has been lowered. As we wrap up this explainer, it leaves us with a fascinating thought. As AI inevitably removes the technical barriers to entry for coding and asset generation, the actual human elements, the creativity, the taste, the storytelling, and that really delicate art of balancing fun are going to become more valuable than ever before. Developers aren't cooked, they're just getting a crazy new set of tools. So what do you think will be the defining human element in the next decade of gaming?